Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hello, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Eric.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger's the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down to the bottom.
Eric, hey, bud. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm enjoying Red Heat. It's always, it's funny watching this movie. It is definitely one of Schwarzenegger's weaker movies.
Sure.
But then, like, talking about it with you and getting a little drunk along the way, it's growing on me a little bit. It's growing on me.
I've made the decision to downshift to Scotch.
Oh, have we now? No more bourbon for you for this evening.
I feel like this is the first time I've ever had Scotch while doing the podcast.
Okay,
drinking some
right.
Johnny
So
Walker Black.
Black Label.
It's fine. It's
Yeah.
I feel like Arnold is a Scotch man, probably. That's sort of how I feel about him.
And I suspect he only drinks Blue Label. Just saying.
He probably, if he even does blends, I don't know. He might be like a single malt
that is
type
true.
of a guy.
Just like chomping on his massive
No,
stogie.
I think apparently he really likes schnapps.
Schnapps?
He likes drinking brandy and schnapps.
That's
I think.
interesting. It's so sweet. I just don't picture him
Yeah,
as
but I guess this is his Austrian upbringing.
That's
or
so
whatever.
strange though, because like he's such a big cigar guy. Something so sweet feels like it would go so weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's crazy times. All right. Well, we're back. We're talking Red
Arnold,
Heat.
let us know what you're drinking.
Yeah, please.
Arnold.
When you listen to this episode, we know you're a listener.
Yes, an avid
listener.
Of course he is. Come on.
How
what
could
else?
he not
He's got
be?
nothing. He doesn't have anything else going on.
No,
I'm kidding.
never.
Arnold,
No.
You are my god. I am a big fan. I want Arnold to know that I am alive on this planet.
I
That'd
can't
be
wait
cool.
for him to just tag us in one of our posts.
Could you
right?
imagine?
That would be amazing.
That would be what really blows us up.
That would be it.
That's why we gotta be active on the social media.
Yeah.
So check us out on Instagram if you're out there. We're at the number 6 DOS podcast. Also on Facebook at the same handle. We're trying to make some things happen, so we appreciate it if we could get some follows, some likes, whatever.
I haven't posted any memes recently to the Instagram page. I apologize.
But that's all good.
We tend to do meme stuff on Instagram, and mostly on Facebook we do trivia and just updates about the show as well. And so stay tuned for all that stuff. We're pretty active on all that stuff, and we're gonna keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk a little bit more about the movie Red Heat, Arnold's 1988 movie. So I think I'm trying to remember. I think Predator came out before this. That's crazy to me.
Predator
this feels
87?
like such a more dated movie than Predator feels
I agree.
like.
Yeah. It
It's
definitely
just
doesn't.
strange.
I mean, Predator's pretty timeless, though.
Yeah, I guess it is. It really is. Because they didn't it wasn't dated on the whatever topical sort of politics
Right. And
type things or anything like
frankly,
that.
people are still killing each other in jungles even today. So it's just sort of it is a timeless kind of premise. Honestly, the first Predator ages better than Predator 2 does, which I maintain Predator 2 is great. I love Predator 2.
Yeah, Predator 2 is a blast.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see it in a cityscape. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, are they doing another? So they did. What was the last one that was out? What was it called?
The Predator. Wasn't it Shane Black's one, or did they do one?
No, they did the one that was straight to Hulu.
Oh,
the one
Prey.
Prey.
Oh, that was kind of fun.
I think they're doing another.
Yeah, they are doing a sequel to Prey.
Where he's hunting Nazis. Or
Oh,
something.
really?
That's gonna be rad.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
I'm into it if it happens. If it actually ever sees the light of day.
I liked Prey more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, it was decent.
But I still like the first two Predator. It was my third favorite Predator movie.
Yes.
No, that's not true. Fourth favorite.
Ooh.
Predators with Adrian Brody.
That was a solid flick.
I like that movie.
Yeah.
That one got another much
Because they took
maligned
him.
film.
Did they take him to Predator Planet, or was it like on some neutral planet?
It was probably like a hunting planet. I bet it wasn't.
Yeah,
Predator
it was
Planet.
like their like wildlife preserve or something.
Yeah, and Topher Grace playing a serial killer.
Yeah,
and
it was solid.
Lawrence Fishburne showing
have
up out
Danny
of nowhere.
Trejo?
It did have Danny Trejo.
Love that. Danny Trejo's fucking 80.
He's 80?
I think so. That dude, good for him, man.
Wow. Man,
I love
it's
me some
keeping
Danny
it tight.
Trejo. Yeah.
He was actually in the first episode of the new season of Futurama that just came out.
Oh shit! Where is that?
On Hulu now. It's
okay,
on Hulu.
fuck. I gotta watch that. I'm so far behind. But Futurama, the OG Futurama, the Fox Futurama, that's so fucking good.
It's still funny. It's not as good as the old days, but it's still Futurama is always funny. Like,
I gotta check that out.
It's a freebie. Yeah, this is the second season that they've done on Hulu. And it's okay. It's not as good as the old days, but it's still better than The Simpsons.
Sure.
So
okay. Well, you've gone down another rabbit hole.
we do.
We're gonna pop out though and get back on our red heat shit.
So I'll sum up as we lead into the new episode.
Hit me with it.
All right. So basically, what happened is the bad dude Victor is a drug runner. He's trying to get cocaine into the Soviet Russia. Danko hates his guts for multiple reasons, not the least of which is he killed his nameless partner. He flees. Victor flees to Chicago. They find him because he gets arrested on drug charges, and Danko is charged to go to the States to recover him.
Holy shit.
Meanwhile, in Chicago, Victor is trying to broker this massive, like, $5 million drug deal with this like kingpin named Abdul Elijah, and he's working with his henchman, tears a $100 bill in half, and that indicates that the deal is on. So Danko shows up in the United States, in Chicago, USA, and that's where he meets Ridzik, Jim Belushi's character, who's this ne'er-do-well cop who is just an absolute scumbag.
It's true.
Forever in a day.
It's true. He's very he's a woman hater.
But
also super horny. We know someone like that.
Constantly horny. So so Danko is just charged here for all the cops know to just pick up Victor and take him back to Russia for an extradition trial. And as they're trying to escort him out, Victor's goons show up, attack Danko, kill Ridzik's who cares partner.
Yeah, right. His expendable partner gets killed too.
But while they're picking up Victor, they find this key that he has in his possession. Danko manages to keep the key. So he wakes up in a hospital. They go do some shenanigans. They go to the prison to meet Abdul Elijah, which produces nothing. They go to Victor's apparently wife's dance studio.
Right, but it was sort of like not a mail order wife, but like a green card wife.
A green card wife.
Yeah.
So they, after interrogating her,
the hottest green card wife ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. Gina Gershon.
She was like Sharon Stone in her prime. Like this is one of the most drop dead gorgeous women I've ever seen in a movie.
Like in Action Jackson, where you're like, holy shit. Right.
Yeah.
So while Victor and Danko are outside post-interrogation, she's up calling somebody.
Right.
Then right at the end of the last episode, she comes out of her dance studio, gets in a taxi, drive away, and the chase is on. And here we are, episode 4.
Man, you nailed it, brother.
What can I say?
It's the penultimate episode.
Penultimate episode. I love that word. It's the most useless word.
Almost the next to last.
Next to last, right.
Yeah. So Danko's driving the car. Ridzik is uptight that Danko is driving the department vehicle. Danko assures him, I got the driving under control. Then they get into this weird discussion about how there's no need for insurance in the Soviet Union, which I don't know if that was true in the Soviet Union. I imagine it was, because otherwise it would be a weird thing to just make up and put in the movie.
Yeah.
But he says in socialist country we don't need insurance, and he's like, but that is, I can't imagine that was ever true in like liberal democracy nations like
Right.
Sweden or whatever the fuck.
Right.
It's certainly not true now that you don't need insurance. Like, how the fuck would that work? If you're driving 120 miles an hour and you crash into a building, it's like, well, the government's going to pay to fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not liable.
I don't know.
No fucking chance. Anyway, but maybe in the Soviet Union it was true.
You're
I don't
going
know.
down the same rabbit hole that they go down in this movie.
I'm pissed off about it. No, that discussion transitions into this discussion of how the Soviet Union, okay, but you still have a problem with hard drugs, which then transitions into a discussion about how the Chinese communists, they murdered all the drug dealers and the drug addicts when they took over, which then makes Ridzik say, oh, that's a pretty good idea. The politicians would never let us get away with it. Then makes Danko say, well, you kill all the politicians too. It's like, fuck. This turned weirdly.
Weird escalation of politics. Yeah.
I feel like this was peak Reagan era, and I think like this authoritarian bullshit was probably Walter Hill's politics as well. You know what I mean? I just take it. I assume that he's a Milius type.
Oh yeah, I'm certain they're both like smoking stogies and
like a man's man.
Yeah.
Like weak men should be killed. It should be just one strong man running the whole world. Me specifically.
God. Yes, them. Yeah.
But meanwhile, we see that Kat is in that taxi cab and is actually being driven by a clean head. And this is all a trap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, and it's the dude who's doing the driving. That's the Scatman Carruthers looking like the main guy.
The actual villain of the Clean Heads. Like you could have cut Abdul Elijah from this movie entirely.
This could have just been the Kingpin.
This could have been the Kingpin. Yeah.
And this is the part of the movie where the music is basically just the same fucking James Horner song that was used in 48 Hours in Commando.
I remember us watching this, and you actually looked up the Commando soundtrack, and you played it, and it sounds exactly the same.
Yeah.
But instead of the steel
just different
drums, it's like a
instruments.
harpsichord.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. So the taxi then leads Danko and Ridzik into like a parking garage, which is already a little crazy that they followed them into a parking garage. We're like, seems like it could definitely be a trap. But then they're suddenly boxed in because a minivan pulls out behind them and a squad of like armed clean heads get out and they're fucked. And Ridzik makes this sort of casually racist comment about like, oh, it's a pro basketball team.
Oh my God,
it's like,
this guy.
Woof.
Yeah.
So they're cornered by the clean heads. Ridzik gets his pistol out. Danko tells him put the gun away. Danko hands Victor's key to Ridzik, and then he gets out of the car to like parlay with the guys. And if I'm Ridzik, I don't want that key anywhere near me.
No, I don't want anything to do with that fucking key.
Hell no. But Kat walks over into the middle of all this and says, some guy named Elijah had us lead you here. They want a truce. And Ridzik and Danko, you're supposed to give your guns over to the clean heads. It's like, fuck that.
I mean, obvious trap is obvious, right? I mean, this is, especially given when we're seeing Elijah, Abdul Elijah and
no,
Danko
not
talking.
Abdul Elijah, the guy who should have been Abdul Elijah.
Yeah.
The second in command, the right hand, who didn't even have a name.
But earlier in the movie, early in the movie when Elijah Abdul,
we gotta fucking deal with you, motherfucker.
Right? Sure, I'll set you up because he's gonna kill you if I set you up. Like he even telegraphs that you're walking into a trap here.
You're in my way.
Right, exactly. And so this all seems like, well, you guys are gonna die in the next 5 minutes. Like there's no question here.
Yes. So Ridzik is like, hell no, you can't have my gun.
Right.
And then he immediately changes his mind because they all like cock their assault rifles. So the clean head in charge, he asks if they have the key, and then they pretend like it's hidden elsewhere, which is perhaps the only reason that they didn't just kill them right there.
Yeah.
So they take Ridzik's gun from him. They are holding him hostage with the gun to his head. Kat says, this is more than I signed up for. And she skedaddles out of there. She's like, I've had enough of this macho shit. Which is basically a line like recycled from Commando.
Yeah.
Now, the lead clean head guy tells Danko that Victor's here to talk to you, but if you try any shit, we're going to kill Ridzik here. So Danko walks over to where Victor is waiting. The clean heads apparently like control this whole garage because it was like totally empty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Victor seems very pleased with the way that things are playing out. And there was like this great line reading and face from Edo Ross, who's like, we keep meeting in the strangest places or something like that.
This was a scene, like this was his best scene in the whole movie because he has a lot of dialogue in this scene.
He's awesome.
And he delivers it 100% believably, like totally believably.
But before we get to that, outside, Kat approaches Victor's blonde henchman who's waiting in a car. She's pissed off that they wanted to use her as bait. He tells her, well, get in the car. We're getting out of here. So they drive off.
Okay.
Back in the garage, though, Victor tells Danko that, if the clean heads hadn't taken my gun away, I would have killed you already, which is, it's very courteous that they've switched over to speaking English to each other.
Right.
Thank you for that. We as viewers appreciate that.
It has nothing to do with that neither one of you are Russian and probably couldn't memorize all of these lines of dialogue in Russian or speak it with a Russian accent.
But apparently this Abdul Elijah is like a man of his word, because even though he seemed like he wanted Victor to eliminate Danko so they could do their deal, he still like has them doing an unarmed, parlay.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's unclear why this is going down the way this is going down.
So now Victor tries to reason with Danko, saying, we're very similar. We're both willing to risk our lives for what we believe in. And Danko is like, well, you don't have any regard for anybody's life. And then Victor chuckles. Danko says, you killed my partner. Which Victor says, okay, but you killed my brother. Danko says, well, your brother was a criminal.
That makes it okay.
I just can't imagine a scenario in which they're not fighting each other.
Right.
Like just at each other's throats. Like, we're going to fight by hand to the death. I'm going to kill you with my bare hands.
In any other Schwarzenegger movie, that's what would be going on right now.
So Victor says, if the Soviet Union could survive Stalin, it can survive a little bit of cocaine. And then Victor says, you need to just stop being so self-righteous. Let's talk business. He says, I need that key back. I'll pay you generously for it. Danko says, I'm not going to be an accomplice to drug dealing. It was like amazing work from Edo Ross in this scene. Like, because his face, he went from like very charming, smiling to like just ice cold.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you're a fool if you don't take this money. He's like, well, you're one of these Soviets that is only looking forward to death.
Mm-hmm.
So then Victor says, if you don't have me to chase after, you don't even have a reason to exist, which is maybe hits close to home.
Yeah.
Because it really does seem like Danko does not have a lot going on.
No,
he's got his bird.
He's got his parakeet, and that's about it. Which is a Russian euphemism for jerking off, apparently. Yeah.
So then Victor walks off. Cut back to Ridzik speeding out of the parking deck, relieved that they made it out of there alive. But Ridzik, he's pissed off, that they just had to make nice with the same guys who had killed his partner, which is a fucking solid point.
Yeah.
Ridzik is also pissed that Danko is still keeping secrets from him. He's like, in this country, cops don't leave their partners holding their dicks in their hands while some bald motherfucker sticks a gun in his ear.
All right, 2 points. One, more dick and balls.
Absolutely.
And B, what the fuck does ball have to do with any of this?
Yeah, it's weird. I guess that is like the least racist way he could put it. Right?
Yeah.
But I did think that Belushi's performance in this particular scene was like decent. But yeah, we're up to like half a dozen dick and ball references
oh my God.
Or whatever.
It's insane.
So Ridzik then angrily gives the key back to Danko, says, I don't even want this fucking thing. Danko says, it's time to go to the hospital. We're going to talk to the wounded henchman. So Danko and Ridzik, they arrive at the hospital. They demand to see the henchman. We see that Kat is there. She's on the phone. This is like a payphone heavy movie.
Oh, yeah. There's
She's
so
on the
many
payphone with someone. She's angrily speaking to them. Elsewhere in the hospital, we see that the blonde henchman has disguised himself as a female nurse. He's coming to murder the wounded henchman, who's presumably a really close friend of his. He got a fucking like manicure, and shit. The nails were done up. Like there were male nurses,
right,
in 1988.
There was in fact male nurses.
I don't feel like you had to go drag.
No,
like where'd you get the full wig and the nurse's uniform? It was the pillbox hat.
I feel like he had this costume ready, and he had been looking for any excuse to whip it out. And this was finally
he's
his
enjoying
moment.
wearing it?
He is really enjoying it, especially as we get farther on into the scene.
He's in character.
And he's still in character. Like he is committed to this bit.
He's method with
He is
shit.
straight up method.
Okay. So like he mutes the guy's monitors and then injects him with what we later discover is like just air.
Air, right.
Which apparently really would kill you pretty quickly.
It causes a stroke.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we see the guy's pulse like flatline. Danko and Ridzik arrive outside the guy's room. They're told that the higher ups are on their way and they should wait and not go in and question this guy until they get there. And so they immediately disregard that. They go in to question the guy. The disguised henchman like bumps into him on his way out. And Ridzik is like crazy horny for this nurse who's like the same size as Arnold.
Yeah,
like he's 6'2".
Built like a man. Clearly built like a man.
Huge broad shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ridzik is like fucking checking him out, whatever.
Ready. He's ready to get down.
So another nurse tries to stop them from entering the room, but they flash badges at him, which shuts her up, which I don't think that's how that works either. Like,
Not
oh, you got
that I'm
badges?
aware of.
Fuck. Okay, yeah. You can come right on in. But Danko tries talking to the henchman who's not responsive. Ridzik's like, stop playing dead. But then they realize he really is dead. And Danko is like, fuck, it was the nurse. So they run out to chase after him. For some reason, like they yell after him, and then the henchman runs off, but running like a woman, like
running. He
sort of
maintains right, exactly, very dainty, which is like
bizarre.
weird. Yeah.
It was strange. It was strange. But they lose track of him pretty quickly. They split up to continue the pursuit. So the three men are all sprinting in through the hallways of the hospital. It's very incoherent. The chase. It's like it's hard to tell who's behind who.
Once again,
anything.
I don't know what. I mean, I feel like most of this movie takes place in some sort of boundary line between dimensions, and every time you round a corner, you could potentially be in a completely different location.
Absolutely, man. So Ridzik catches up with the nurse on this crowded escalator. The henchman like goes shoving people down on the way down. Ridzik hops on and like just slides down the railing or whatever, which is a cool move.
And it was
Belushi did it himself.
Yeah, he did
it was
it
kind of
himself.
cool.
Yeah.
So Ridzik then pulls his gun out, has the henchman stop, dead to rights. When Kat runs in the middle and is like, "Stop! What are you doing? You crazy!" It's like, what the what is she?
What is going
doing?
on? I know.
Why is she doing this?
Why are you even here at the hospital? Like, it's not clear to me.
Well, she was in the car with that guy,
Yeah, but-
so that's I guess she got just taken along with him.
I guess.
I got something to do real quick.
Yeah.
Like changing into his wig, putting the press-on nails on.
She actually was the one who painted the press-on nails for him.
Right. But so then the henchman seizes this like distraction as an opportunity to pull his own gun out and start shooting. Ridzik dives out of the way, and now Kat's begging the henchman to not shoot. Her motivations are just totally unclear.
It's not clear.
I feel like there might have been more to it, like on the page, that could have made it make sense. Like if we had found out she's married to Victor, but like she's been in a relationship with this guy.
Oh, that would have actually been interesting.
Then it would have been like, don't shoot him. I don't know. But they don't go down that route. But then suddenly Danko arrives. He blows the henchman away. The wig falls off. It was revealed that it's a dude.
Which we've known the whole time at this point.
Guy goes crashing through this like double glass doors out onto the sidewalk.
So dramatic.
That gun was packing a wallop. Whew. So Kat now runs away, and Danko chases her down like flight after flight of stairs. And it's like, how fucking deep is this hospital?
I don't know, man.
They were on street level, and now they've gone down like 3-4 flights.
Yeah, they are definitely in like a triple sub basement at this point.
So, but back in the lobby area, this nurse that was like conspicuously hot,
really attractive.
She's gorgeous. Gets this long close up of like walking right up to the camera and like staring into the lens.
No lines of dialogue. We don't see her again.
Yeah, as Ridzik is like confirming that the henchman is dead. But it was a weird ass moment. Like, if you have this weirdly hot extra in the background, it can just totally break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
It's like, what's happening right now? Why? What is happening? But so Kat, meanwhile, she's managed to get herself cornered down in the bowels of the hospital, and Danko catches up with her. He tells her, Victor's got 10 women just like you back in the Soviet Union. He uses you until you're either killed or locked up. And she's so helpless and so hot that Danko is like, he just helps her get away. He busts the lock open and sends her running off into this parking garage.
Sure, why not?
I can't even be mad at Danko because I feel like I would do the same thing. Fuck. If there's a 1% chance I might get to see her naked later, I gotta let her go.
All right, well, at least we know where your bar is.
Yeah. So now later, Ridzik is receiving medical treatment for what? We don't even know.
Not clear.
Like, why not have him have been grazed by a bullet or he's cut by some broken glass or something? But he's receiving medical treatment even though he's not hurt. He's expressing his outrage that Danko, he thinks he let Kat get away, which is accurate. But Danko is lying and saying, no, I just lost track of her. He's like, okay, nice work, Gumby. And he's like, thank you. And he's like, I didn't mean that. And he's like, I know. It was actually like one of the few like good timing like comedy bits. So Ridzik says, we're going to be in deep shit after having a fucking shootout in the hospital.
Oh, really?
And the nurse then for some reason is giving Ridzik a tetanus shot like right in his ass. I guess just strictly for like a chuckle.
Yeah, because the last time I got a tetanus shot, it was just in my arm.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't have to get a tetanus shot in your ass. Like, it doesn't work that way.
I think this is strictly here to make you say, huh.
Yeah.
Like, because it didn't even get a laugh.
No,
it's just like,
there's no laugh here. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That's funny because it's in his ass.
It's in his
and all.
ass. Yeah.
I get it. I meant on the joke. Because his ass,
It's because his ass, right. It's like, hey, at least it's on his dick and balls for a change.
Right into your penis, sir. No. But at this moment, Commander Donnelly shows up, bursts in, wants to know what the fuck is going on around here. Ridzik recaps the events of the day, says, well, I had a gun to my head, and then Danko shot a drag queen, which that's not even like the half of it.
No.
I feel like this is the same day that Gallagher got killed earlier at the jail, and then you went to the prison.
Right. There's been
there's a ton of shit's happened.
No
today.
passage of time.
So then Stobbs comes in. He gives a recap of how the dark-haired henchman had gotten killed. He casually just refers to the nurse as El Transvesto, which is a weird turn of phrase.
Not only racist, but also homophobic.
Also, and it's like bastardized Spanish, though
Right.
no one here is Spanish. It was just strange.
It was just so weird.
So Danko says, well, they killed him basically because they didn't want him talking to me. So Victor, had his own man killed. And Donnelly wants to know if they had found Kat, the wife, or whatever. And they lie and they say no. And it seems like Ridzik knows that Danko's lying, but covers for him.
Yeah.
And then Donnelly's like getting all up in Ridzik's ass about Danko having a gun. And Danko's like, well, Ridzik didn't know I had it. So now he's covering for him. Donnelly then demands that Danko surrender the gun. And he initially refuses, but then he reluctantly just hands it over and walks out. And I'm not even sure that they're legally allowed to have demanded the gun. What could he do if Danko said, fuck you, no?
Again,
he's
diplomatic immunity,
immune,
apparently, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
But then Donnelly tells Ridzik, I want reports of everything that's happened today on my desk pronto. And Ridzik leaves. So outside, Danko tells Ridzik, I need another gun. And Ridzik's like, no fucking chance. He's like, we don't have any leads to go on. We don't have, Donnelly's like, wants to take my badge. Danko says, I've dealt with men like Donnelly before in the Soviet Union, and says they're like the KGB, which is apparently a winning argument because then for some reason that makes Ridzik pop open the unlocked glove compartment and is like, here's a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world.
And it's already loaded.
It's like loaded. There's a box of ammo in there. That shit was crazy. Just earlier in the movie when Danko had been like, I want the keys for the car, Ridzik's like, it's unlocked.
Yeah.
It's like, motherfucker. Any kid could get a hold of this thing. But
this seems like a Milius ad.
Absolutely. A gun never hurt anybody.
Right, exactly.
A loaded 44 Magnum never hurt anybody.
You can borrow mine. I was carrying this around on set while I was filming Red Dawn.
Exactly. But so then they get into this friendly argument as Danko is claiming, the Soviet Union, there's more powerful guns in the Soviet Union. And he mentions a Podburin 9.2 millimeter, which is, I looked that up and it's not even a thing that exists. It was like a made up thing. It was the gun he apparently was, meant to be carrying, but it was one that they made special for the movie, which is like a modified Desert Eagle.
Right.
And whatever, like Belushi's like, you calling Dirty Harry a liar? And he's like, who is Dirty Harry? Which is a decent, like, it was a one of these self-referential sort of moments.
Well, I mean, interesting, like the Deadpool came out a couple of months later.
Yeah, the last Dirty Harry
of the
flick.
Dirty Harry movies. Yeah, I've never seen the Deadpool. I've seen like the first 2 or 3, and I never saw the last of them.
I feel like Deadpool has a very young Jim Carrey in it.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to go back and rewatch those. It's been so long.
If you're on a little right wing.
I bet they do not age well at all. That one, Milius wrote the first one, right?
Yeah, for sure. And like that Make My Day and like all that stuff, I think it was like pure Milius.
Milius.
That might have been the original like middle-aged man fantasy power trip.
That's not a bad point.
What if you just fucking killed everyone who dared to cross you? Anyway, later on, they're at this diner where Ridzik is shuffling through this huge stack of reports that he's supposed to fill out.
One of them, I love this. Apparently, if you pause and look at it, the title of the report is Worthless Document Case Report. Like, that is what the label of it is.
I did not pause to see that. That's awesome. That's awesome. But there's this conspicuously hot waitress.
Again,
gorgeous woman.
In this reality, there is no such thing as an unattractive woman.
Working like the graveyard shift at the diner, just pouring coffee. That's not realistic at all. But Ridzik like shoos her away and is like, I got my coffee just how I want it. Like, I don't want any more coffee. Now, then Ridzik starts asking Danko, what's up? You married? No. You got a girlfriend? No. Ever? He's like, of course.
Like, what? What does that mean?
I guess that means I fucked plenty of women. Then he starts asking about Danko's family. Both parents dead, no siblings. Grandparents were killed by Nazis. He's like, oh, that's pretty fucking grim. Which is, that's a hard agree for me. That's fucking tough.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
So Ridzik says, oh, my parents are dead too. My dad was a cop. I got a sister. She's divorced. That's fucking wild.
Third time he's mentioned his sister.
What's wild to
Second time he's mentioned that she's divorced.
That's wild to mention her marital status. He keeps bringing up the sister randomly. That's a lot for a character we never see.
Never see in this whole movie.
That's strange. So Ridzik observes that, Danko doesn't like this type of conversation. Then Ridzik rudely, this is like a 1 minute later, he's like, hey, sweet cheeks, while we're young, like I need more coffee.
Didn't you just 2 seconds ago say you had it exactly? You have not had a single sip of it.
Yeah. Colossal asshole.
Oh my God.
So Danko orders tea, and Ridzik's like, you probably want it, in a glass with ice with
glass or something like that.
With lemon and ice. He's like, I saw Dr. Zhivago, which I've never seen.
I have not seen it
Did you?
either.
Okay,
actually.
I thought that might have been on your AFI.
It was on the
film
list
journey,
and that was actually no, I did see it because it was on the original list. I just don't remember anything about it. It's a long movie. That's what I remember about it. It's very long. I should actually go back and rewatch Dr. Zhivago.
It's probably great.
Because I saw it when I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
I was definitely too young.
That's not for a teen, a red-blooded American teen.
And I was just starting my journey into film. And so, because I did. My mother and I watched all 100 of those movies. And Dr. Zhivago was on the list.
Yeah.
And I think that was just one of the ones that went over my head. And I just don't remember anything about it. And I need to go back and rewatch it.
So later on then, I guess, it seems like it's the break of dawn.
Yeah.
Ridzik is bringing Danko back to the dirt motel. Tells him, go get some sleep. I got to go to the fucking police station and regroup. It's right. It seemed like it was starting to get light outside.
Right, exactly. It seemed like it's dawn at this point. Yeah.
So inside the hotel, Danko goes to the desk clerk and he asks if there's any messages. Which, why the fuck would you think there were messages for you?
It's so bizarre.
Who even knows you're staying here?
Right, exactly.
You know what? Fuck that. So, anyway. Strangely enough, the desk clerk is like, oh, yeah, you got a bunch of messages from this woman. She's been calling every 10 minutes. He didn't tell her where he was staying.
She has no fucking clue. None.
Yeah, it's he calls the number. Wouldn't you know it? It's Kat.
Of course, who else would it be?
It's the only woman in the movie.
Yeah.
But that's fucking insane. He never told her I'm staying at the hotel.
Again, was there a 5-minute long sequence that was cut from the movie that would explain all of
Probably.
this? I mean, it's just insanity.
So she says, if you promise to let me go afterwards, I'll tell you about the drug deal. I'll help you catch Victor. He's got no power to make these decisions, and she should know that.
You should know, as a Russian fucking cop, he has no authority.
I can't grant you immunity.
No jurisdiction.
So she says she just wants her life back. She only married Victor because he paid her a bunch of money to do it. Danko promises he'll do everything he can to help her if they catch Victor, which he also knows at the end of the day he can't help her.
No.
So it's kind of shitty for him to pretend like I got your back or whatever. But now over at the police station, the secretary character is telling Ridzik to check his messages. And that is like her largest contribution to the movie.
Right.
Is to tell him to check his voicemail.
And again, didn't need to be there. He could have just been typing, reached over
check
and
my
pressed
voicemail. I walk in, check my missed messages.
Right. It's just, there's so many unnecessary characters in this movie.
So on the machine there's a message from the ex-brother-in-law, the ex-husband of his wife, his divorced sister. He wants to talk about some domestic bullshit that they have going on. And he says, I'll be working in the key shop all night.
How convenient.
Which seems to spark an idea for Ridzik. Well, we've been spending the whole fucking day trying to figure out what this key might be for. It never occurred to me that I have a close contact who's a fucking key expert. It's crazy. But back at the hotel, we see Danko hiding the little key up in the light fixture in his room. It's somehow nighttime again already. There's apparently a huge chunk of the movie that was cut out, but more on that in a little bit. But Victor is watching all of this through binoculars with a bunch of clean head goons around him. So it's bad news for Danko.
And that's where we're going to leave it tonight.
That's where we're going to leave it.
Yeah.
We got one more chapter to go.
And then we're gonna be done with Red Heat.
Yes, I can. It'll be out of my life forever
and ever.
So it'll be forever living in my Amazon purchases. But I can't promise you I will ever watch it again.
I watched it for free on Pluto the first time, which was a horrible mistake because there was 45 minutes of commercials.
It took like 3 hours.
It took me 3 hours to watch this 1 hour and 45 minute long movie.
That's amazing. We're talking Dr. Zhivago.
Oh my God.
Length flick.
Unbelievable, man.
Oh man.
All right.
You live and you learn.
We'll be back next week.
Yes. Thanks for listening. As always, we'll catch you next week for the exciting conclusion, and we'll be back.